There's luxury you recognise, and then there's the kind you only notice when you're invited into the room. Today, we're covering 20 houses the rich actually buy, not for logos, but for craft, scarcity, and legacy. No hype, no filler, just what makes each name the quiet code of true wealth. Goyard built its reputation by doing what modern brands won't, staying silent. Founded in 1853, the Paris trunk maker avoids advertising and still has no official e-commerce. Its hand-painted chevron Y pattern signals heritage without shouting a logo. Small leather goods begin around $2,000. Custom trunks can climb into six figures, the price reflecting workshop methods that haven't been rushed by fashion cycles. Historic clients included the Rockefellers and Romanovs, but the modern appeal is simple: privacy. Goyard boutiques often handle special orders behind closed doors, and the most compelling pieces never hit a public shelf. In a world that equates visibility with value, Goyard sells the opposite: objects that matter most to people who don't need to be seen. Moynat founded in 1849, Moynat predates many headline houses yet remains deliberately under the radar. The brand's specialty is travel goods and leatherwork executed with an almost museum-grade respect for structure and finish. There are no celebrity ambassadorships and minimal marketing. Production is intentionally limited, which is why waiting lists for certain models can stretch past 2 years. This is a trunk maker's mindset applied to contemporary bags: lightness, resilience, and quiet profiles that hold their shape. The connoisseur drawer is in the details: arched seams, hand-painted edges, and closures engineered to feel inevitable rather than decorative. For clients who can buy anything, Moynat proves the highest luxury is choosing not to chase attention. Richard Mille treats watchmaking like aerospace. Entry pricing starts around $80,000, and the most complex references comfortably exceed $1 million. The brand's signature is radical materials, carbon composites, titanium, exotic alloys shaped into skeletonized cases that look like they were milled from a race car. Rafael Nadal's RM Tourbillon is famously built to survive forces on the order of 10,000 Gs, an engineering stunt that explains the price without a word of marketing. The appeal for the ultra-wealthy is twofold: technical audacity and genuine scarcity. You don't wear a status symbol, you strap on a lab project that happens to tell time, built in volumes small enough to keep even seasoned collectors waiting. FP Journe. If Mille is noise, FP Journe is a whisper. Annual output sits around 900 watches, and the movements are crafted in solid gold, an industry rarity that telegraphs priorities without diamonds. Prices begin in the mid-5 figures and rise to 7 for complications. Access is personal. New clients often come through existing owners, and the waiting period is measured by relationship as much as by calendar. Journe's cases are discreet, dials restrained, finishing obsessive. The brand's allure among the rich is that it requires fluency. The watch doesn't introduce the wearer introduces the watch. Patek Philippe wrote much of haute horology's grammar. Founded in 1839, the house pioneered complications, including the perpetual calendar and minute repeater, then embedded them in designs that became landmarks: Calatrava, Nautilus, Aquanaut. The value proposition to wealthy families is time itself, thousands of hand-finishing hours per piece, and a culture that treats ownership as stewardship. Patek's message about passing a watch to the next generation isn't a slogan. It's how the brand is collected. In boardrooms and auctions alike, the name stands for precision that compounds. Rolex is less rare than it is inevitable, and that's precisely the point. From the waterproof oyster of 1926 to the perpetual self-winding system, the brand fused tool reliability with glamour. Submariner, Daytona, Datejust, These aren't just models, they're mile markers in 20th century design. The cultural weight is anchored by a philanthropic structure tied to the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, which keeps the focus on long-term brand integrity. For the rich, Rolex represents certainty, the watch that performs on a mountain, in a cockpit, or under a cuff, with a resale ecosystem that underlines its reputation rather than replacing it. Loro Piana. Loro Piana is the uniform of people who can't be bothered by logos. The Italian house controls the world's rarest fibres with ruthless selectivity. Baby cashmere from the underfleece of young Hercus goats collected once in a lifetime. Vicuña from the Andes harvested on a tightly managed cycle. That is why a single jacket can cost $20,000. Scarcity isn't invented. It is farmed, combed, and woven. The aesthetic is restraint, straight cuts, soft shoulders, colours that look like daylight. For the ultra-wealthy, Loro Piana is a standard of comfort that reads as competence rather than performance. Brunello Cucinelli sells a philosophy as much as a sweater. The brand revitalised its Umbrian home and is known for paying workers above market rates, embedding ethics inside the product story. A classic cashmere crew neck starts around $2,000, but loyal clients are drawn to limited pieces that never appear in catalogues and are offered directly. The cut is relaxed, the palette forgiving, the hand feel addictive. Tech founders and investors adopted Cucinelli as the dress code of quiet authority. Nothing flashy, everything intentional. A tactile reminder that luxury starts with how clothing makes you feel all day. Kiton is a Neapolitan argument for handwork. The house produces roughly 20,000 suits a year, each requiring extensive manual stitching. Its pinnacle, the K50 program, caps output at 50 suits annually, each taking around 50 hours and costing well over $50,000. The numbers are a filter disguised as branding. Kiton isn't about novelty, it's about consistency. The same measured shoulder, the same rolling lapel, refined again and again by the same hands. Among insiders, a Kiton jacket is the handshake you feel before you hear a title. Brioni brings Roman polish to power dressing. A single suit moves through about 220 steps and 6,000 hand stitches, guided by tailors who train for over a decade. Ready-to-wear starts around the mid-four figures, while bespoke, conducted in quiet salons, begins near 30,000. Brioni's value to world leaders and executives is discretion. The house prioritizes line and drape over trends, building garments that look correct in every room without ever looking new. That is the mark of a wardrobe, not a purchase. Henry Poole is where modern black tie began. In 1865, the house cut the first dinner jacket for the Prince of Wales, and it has dressed royalty ever since. The ultimate luxury isn't owning one suit, it's maintaining a personal pattern book, a living record of your posture and preferences, updated season after season, and sometimes passed to heirs. That continuity is why Poole matters to the rich. It turns tailoring into lineage. When a lapel shape becomes family shorthand, you've crossed from taste into tradition. Charvet. Operating from Place Vendôme since 1838, Charvet is where shirts become instruments. Bespoke involves 30 measurements, hand-cut paper patterns, and a timeline that stretches to months. Entry pricing sits in the mid-hundreds, but clients typically commission full rotations. Dozens of shirts, custom cloths, and collars for every jacket they own. The most exclusive service is weaving a fabric that will never be reproduced for anyone else. It's luxury you feel on your skin and recognize only if you've been fitted there yourself. Bottega built an empire by making leather behave like fabric. The intrecciato weave, narrow strips hand braided into a resilient surface, demands specialized artisans. While the brand is widely known, its most coveted pieces live in private rooms, shown by appointment to clients who prefer a database note to a waitlist. The absence of exterior logos is the message. Touch matters more than text. Among wealthy buyers, the game is not owning a viral silhouette. It's getting a version that exists only in your wardrobe. Hermes began with harnesses and kept the discipline. The house's icons, the Birkin and Kelly, are the result of a workshop mentality, saddle stitching by hand, seasonal colour rotations, and distribution that favours relationships over receipts. Scarves, tableware, and ready-to-wear carry the same uncompromising approach. The attraction for the ultra-wealthy is that Hermes doesn't bend to demand. It teaches it. You don't simply buy a bag, you earn the right atmosphere for one to appear, and then you keep it long enough to become part of the story. Cartier, the jeweller of kings, still sets standards a century later. Cartier popularised platinum in fine jewellery at the turn of the 20th century, enabling delicate strength that defined an era. Today, the love bracelet, tank, Santos, Ballon Bleu, and the surreal crash span royalty and pop culture without diluting the core. Cartier's designs read clean at a glance and reveal rigour up close, which is why they age so well. For wealthy collectors, the Maison is reliable shorthand, tasteful, historical, and globally understood without ever needing to explain itself. Christofle turns French silversmithing into sculpture. The Jardin d'Eden line by Marcel Wanders pushes beyond tableware to statement objects, including a silver-plated copper bathtub priced around $75,000 and built over months by master artisans. Access is curated. Clients often build a profile through smaller pieces before limited objects are offered. For the kind of home where a centerpiece requires a provenance, Christofle supplies conversation that doubles as heirloom. Buccellati treats gold like lace. The house's signature techniques, honeycomb piercing, deep hand engraving, require months at the bench, producing cuffs and rings that glow rather than glare. Pricing starts in the mid-five figures and rises quickly with stones and complexity. The reason celebrities and collectors lean here is originality. Each piece carries the touch of a specific artisan, and the finish makes new jewellery feel storied. Among connoisseurs, spotting a Buccellati texture across a room is part of the sport. Stefano Ricci Florentine bravado, executed with obsession. Stefano Ricci sells ties that begin near $250 and climb into five figures when woven with precious threads and stones. The brand's most exclusive moments happen off-stage, invitation-only gatherings at a private Tuscan estate where patrons dine, hunt, and preview limited editions that never reach public display. It's retail as club membership. For wealthy clients, Ricci supplies a dial you can turn from quiet authority to undeniable opulence without changing addresses. Chanel made elegance move. Gabrielle, Coco Chanel replaced stiff corsetry with tweed jackets, birthed the little black dress, and secured immortality with number 5. The contemporary house keeps refining those codes rather than replacing them, which is why vintage and current sit comfortably side by side on any red carpet. The luxury for the rich isn't the logo, it's the certainty that a Chanel jacket will still look right a decade from now. When a brand's archive keeps up with its runway, you get longevity that money can't fake. Louis Vuitton started with trunks in 1854 and never stopped solving travel. The monogram canvas became global shorthand for luxury, but the brand's power is innovation, light, durable constructions, artist collaborations, ready-to-wear that nods to the atelier's roots. The wealthiest clients skip obvious pieces for special orders and limited runs that reconnect to the trunk maker DNA. Vuitton remains the rare label that can be both mass-recognised and quietly elite, depending on which door you enter and what you ask to see. Every one of these 20 brands tells the same story in a different accent. That real luxury isn't loud and it never rushes. The rich don't buy these names to prove anything. They buy them because they've learned what patience, craft, and permanence feel like. That's the world of true wealth. Quiet, deliberate, and built to last. So next time you see someone with no visible logos but everything perfectly made, remember, they probably know these brands by heart. And now, so do you.